Are you still relying on pivot tables and slicers to create dashboards in Excel? If your immediate response is yes, what else would I use? Then this video is for you. Here is a quick look at the dashboard that we will create by the end of this video. I have not used pivot tables or slicers for creating this dashboard. Pivot tables and slicers are great, but they don't offer much flexibility. That's why I've created this new type of dashboards, which I like to call as modern Excel dashboard. This lets you have full control and flexibility on what you want to present. Let's get started. This is a sales data that I have for you, and I have converted this into a table. The table is called sales. Now in this video, I have used a lot of newer Excel functions. If you're familiar with them, then it's great. In case you aren't, then there's nothing to worry. I will leave a link for every function and feature in the description so that you can deep dive into those after you've seen this video. Now here are two additional sheets that I have created. We've seen the dashboard sheet already. Here we have a sheet called calculations. This is where we will write our formulas. Now let's do our first bit. As you can see, we have these dropdowns here. The dropdowns for category and region are dynamic. As you add more categories or regions to the table sales, they get added here automatically. You'll also notice the option all to select categories and regions. Let's see how to create these. But before we do, I'm going to clear all calculations and then resume the video. To create the list for all categories, along with the word all, I will use multiple functions. The first one is vstack. I'm using vstack to add the word all on top of the other categories in the table. So vstack. For array 1, I will provide all in double quotes. For array 2, I will use unique. But to make the data appear nice and organized, I will use the sort function. Sort will list all the items in an ascending order. Now unique. And in unique, I will select the column category from the sales table. Close the bracket for unique, sort, and vstack. And there you see, we have the list ready. Now if I go to the dashboard sheet, I will select the cell C2 and create a list. Go to data, data validation, allow a list, and in source select the cell A2 from the calculations sheet. Add the hash or the pound symbol. This symbol will return the entire list as the output is a dynamic array output. Link for the video with a detailed explanation is in the description. And we've created our first dropdown. Similarly, I will write the formula for regions. vstack all sort unique the region column from the table sales. Let's go to the dashboard and create a list. The cell B2 from the calculations sheet, followed by a hash or the pound symbol. For metric, I will create a list by just typing units and revenue in source. Now that we have created these, I'm going to name a few cells. I'm going to name the cell C2 as cell category, short for selected category. And cell F2 as cell region. and I2 as cell metric. Now let's head to the calculations sheet. Here I will create a table that will list down the data based on the first two filters, category and region. Let's use a simple filter formula. Filter. Our array is the sales table. Now we want to filter basis what we select in the dropdowns. We can write easy filter conditions for the values, but we also have the word all. So let's handle that using an if. If the selected category or cell category equal to all, then we do not filter, so I will return a 1 or true. Else we filter the category column in the sales table with the selection in the cell category cell, or simply put, the selected category. I will use a star which works as an AND for the filter condition for region. Similar if condition, if cell region is equal to all, then return 1 or true, else return the rows where the value is equal to cell region, which is the selected region. And we get this table. This works well for filtered values, but does not work when both the filters are set to all. See, we get this error. This is because it does not receive any condition. All it receives is 1 or true when both the values are all. So let's manage this error. I will add an if at the start of the formula. If, check the condition using AND, cell category is equal to all, cell region is equal to all. If both these are true, then we return the sales table as it is. Else the filter formula that we have written. Now I'll create one more name, filtered data. This will contain the dynamic output or the spill data from the cell D2. Now let's address the output based on the value we select in metric. In the cell K2, I will write choose. For index number, we need to provide the index number of the column that we want to return. Column H for units and column I for sales. So we will use the match function. Match. Lookup value is the value in the cell metric. Array is revenue and units, which we can provide in pair of curly brackets or braces. And 0 for exact match. For the value 1 and 2 of the choose function, we will use the index function. In case the selection is revenue, index, then we will return the 6th column from the spill data. Why 6th? Because region is first, salesperson is second, product is third, category is fourth, units is fifth, and revenue is sixth. So array is filtered data, comma for all the rows, and 6 for the column. For value 2, which means the selection is units, we will return the data from the 5th column. Index, filtered data, no input, just comma to return all rows, and 5 for the 5th column. and we get the revenue values. The data in column K will change as I change the value in the list for metric. Let's name this range as metric data. We'll go to the name manager to do so. Now let's create the data for product and region. For this, we will use the group by function. Let's write for products first in the cell M2. Group by. For the row field, we will again use the index function to return product names. Index, filter data, no input for the row number as we want all the rows, and 3 as the product data is in the third column of filter data. Values will be what is there in the name range, metric data. The function we want is sum and 0 for field headers and depth. Similarly, let's write for regions. Group by, index, filter data, comma, and 1 as the regions is in the first column of filter data. Value as per metric data, sum followed by 0 for field headers and depth. That's it. We now need to create the charts. I will select the M2 and create a column chart. Cut and paste it in the dashboard sheet. Format it a little. Rename the title to products. No axis. Add labels. No lines. Let's go to the calculation sheet again. Select the cell P2. Create a bar chart this time. Cut and paste it to the dashboard sheet. Similar formatting. As I change the values, we see the chart updating. Let's add these two KPIs too. For total sales, we will write the formula as sum of metric data. It will show the total revenue or units. And for transactions, we will just count the number of rows in filtered data. Our dashboard is ready. This is the modern approach to an Excel dashboard. It gives you full control on what you want to display. It keeps the file lightweight, especially when you're working on a heavy data set. Do share with me in comments on how you use this at your workplace or place of education. And if you'd like to learn more about Excel and Power BI, consider subscribing our channel, Analytics Success. Thanks for watching.